So now we're going to look at blending from dark to light, and that's called a gradient. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to highlight for myself where my tones need to go. And we're working in this direction as we are following the longest line of the shape. So I know over here I need a nice dark tone. In the middle here, I'm just going to try and match this tone. A nice medium tone. And then over here, by the time I get to here, it needs to be nice and light. Sometimes it's good to set out a little key for yourself, just to help yourself get the tones right. So we're working in this direction. If it's more comfortable for you, you can turn your paper this way. It's just however is most comfortable for your hand. Just for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to have it this way, just so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So we're trying our best not to go outside of the box, and we're trying our best to show controlled shading. So just a recap of what controlled shading should look like. All of your shading lines should be flowing in the same direction. So on this one here, we're going horizontal because we are following the longest line of the shape, which is this one here. So we're working in this direction. We're going to try our best to blend from dark to light. So I've started off in the dark area because I know that I can just reduce the pressure of my pencil as I'm moving along and get lighter. As I am moving along, let me just zoom in. Just notice what I'm doing with my pencil. So as I'm moving my pencil along, I'm going over the last bit of shading that I've done. That makes sure that there's no white gaps, and it also makes sure that your pencil marks are nice and smooth. This is smooth shading that we're doing right now. So smooth shading is great for if you are drawing a person because the skin's nice and smooth. Maybe you are drawing something like a building that's got a stone texture, which is a nice smooth marble texture. A shell. Anything that's nice and smooth. So now I've reached my medium tone. Now I'm going to start reducing my pressure even more as I come along. I think what's important when you're blending, I'll show you a bad example of blending. A bad example would be where we rapidly go from one tone to another. So this is a bad example of blending. And what you'll be able to see on a bad example of blending is stop-start. So the dark stops and the medium starts suddenly. So that's a bad example of blending. A good example of blending is where it slowly transitions and you can't really see where, you couldn't pinpoint where one tone finishes and the next one starts because they all just blend into each other. And it does take a little bit of time. So now I'm coming to my light tone. I need to start reducing my pressure even more. Remember what I said about moving back into that last bit of shading that you've done and overlapping and layering it to make sure that it's nice and smooth and blended. So you might take a second just to go back over everything again, making sure that it's nice and blended before you move on. And we're trying our best again not to go out of the box. If you do, just use a rubber just to neaten it up, but try your best not to. When I get to this light point, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because you are going to try your best to fade your light tone just to white. And at this point you might need to, just very carefully and delicately, just use your finger just to help that blend into the white of the paper. If you've gone too dark, don't worry about it, you can use your rubber. But when you are using your rubber, it is really important, and I'll show you on this example. If you've gone too dark with your pencil, when you use your rubber, you don't use it like primary school student, rubbing away just like that frantically. We use it like a proper artist, so you should be using your rubber like you would use your pencil. So rubbing away in nice straight lines in the similar direction, using different pressures of the rubber. And doing it in a nice controlled way. Take your time when you use the rubber. It's a proper tool in art to create artwork with. So just take your time when you're using it. And there we go, we've got a nice gradient, blending from dark to light.